Working on this YouTube live thing some more. I'm gonna finish a bowl with the Parfix 3408. Not quite ready to do what we're doing, but we're gonna give it a whirl. Back things out a bit. Gonna need a chuck. This is a cherry bowl. Needs dusted off. This is dry wood, which is what you need to use a 3408. Because CA glue, which is what this is, dries in the presence of moisture. And why does that appear that froze on me? I don't know. There seems to be quite a bit that I need to figure out on this YouTube live thing. Right now, we're just going to get our bowl finished. And we'll have to watch some more YouTube videos, I guess, to figure out what we're doing wrong. For right now, we're just going to get our finish applied to our bowl. Finish we're going to use is the Parfix 3408, which is a slow setting CA glue. Has a 40-second time delay. It's 40 centipoids, it's 5 centipoids in thickness, which centipoids is a measurement of liquid viscosity, water being 1. So this is 4 centipoids above the thickness of water. I've made a little pad of a paper towel with a piece of polyester felt inside of it. Our piece has been sanded to 400 and 800 grit random orbit sanded over top of that by hand, so it is very smooth. But it's going to be porous. We're going to take our little pad. We're going to get our pad nice and wet. Put lots on, because it will take a fair amount. This is a pretty good sized piece. We're going to start on the end grain. We're going to run our little circle pattern down to the bottom. Catch our bead while we're at it. As you can see, it's literally disappearing because it's end grain, and end grain will soak in more material than anything else. So we can go around there, put some more in there. We have 40 seconds to do this entire piece, which doesn't seem like much time, but it actually is quite a bit of time. It is still a CA glue. It's still could stick to your fingers. That's why the gloves are there. The pad is actually already sticking to my fingers because there's already some CA glue on the tips of those gloves from before. So we're going to go around. We're going to hit the end grain really well, first off, because our side grain is not going to soak in as much material as the end grain will. We're looking for it to be pretty much saturated. So now we can hit our side grain. The rest of our bead, try and squeeze some down into the crack where the bead meets the side of the bowl, or the bottom of the bowl. Go around and hit the end grain some more as we go. Rest of the bead. The rest of the side grain. Our side grain is not going to absorb as much, so we don't have to go over the side grain umpteen times. Enough to make it saturate, sink in as much as we can. Now we've got pretty much enough on the end grain because it's starting to lay on the surface. So that means we're at saturation point. So just keep going around. We're looking to get total saturation on the piece. Just keep rubbing it in. Like I say, we have 40 seconds to get this done. It doesn't seem like much time, but it's starting to get saturated. It's pretty much saturated because as I rub it around, I'm rubbing around places that have some sitting on the surface and getting it in other places that might be a little bit thin on the glue. So that looks pretty good to me. Like I say, it's going to stick to my gloves. It's probably going to rip. Well, it didn't rip a hole in them, luckily. Usually does. Clean the bottle cap off. I'm going to grab a dry paper towel. And I'm going to wipe off the excess. I don't want any of the excess glue laying on the surface, because this particular one will not flow out, sort of. It will not lay out flat. It wants to soak into the wood. When it can't soak into the wood, it will lay on the surface and bead up like a finely waxed car. So if you do that and let it dry, it'll stay that way, as in little beads on the top of the surface. This is a one coat application, not to be going over a second time with the 3408, because like I say, it will act like a finely waxed car and lay on the surface. Because when it can't soak in, it doesn't know what to do. It lays on the surface, and it will dry on the surface, but it does not dry smooth. It dries as little bumps. So there's our one coat on the outside. We can use some accelerator. If you live in a part of the world, or the country, I should say, so this doesn't get shipped overseas. If you live in a part of the world where there's very little humidity, because it needs humidity to dry, to cure, so you're going to need to use activator. I'll hit it one time. We know we put more on the end grain. The second time, I'm about 18 to 24 inches away. I'm spraying up here so that the mist comes down on top of the piece. At this point, it's pretty much dry to the touch. If you really wanted to, you could hit all four sides. We could do that. We could just hit all four sides. And I'm spraying from the tailstock towards the headstock because the inside of this has not been finished yet. So we'll hit all four sides. One little squirt, like I say, 18 to 24 inches away. At this point, this surface is dry to the touch. Don't necessarily maybe want to touch it with your fingers, unprotected fingers, because you could have some moisture on your fingers. And I used the wrong chuck. I got to switch chucks. That has a bigger tenant. That has the bigger jaws of the other tenant on there for the tenant. So I'll just switch jaws, switch chucks, so that we can do the inside. As we knock our bottle glue on the floor. That's why you put the lid on. So we'll put our ball back in our chuck, which is helps to get the right chuck, you know. So we'll put that in there. Now we're ready to do the inside. So we'll switch camera views back over to this camera. We'll back it up because this is a bigger bowl. This view, you get to see the rest of my messy shop. My shop is very small, but it's efficient. Sort of. Same as before, I'm going to take a piece of polyester felt, I'm going to wrap it up in the paper towel and make us a nice little pad with our polyester felt in the middle, in the inside. Gives us a glue reservoir. We'll go back to our 3408 again. Do the same as what we did on the outside. I'm going to get plenty on the pad to start with. Do the same as we did on the outside. We'll start on the end grain. On the end grain, all the grain has been sealed on the outside of this piece. So the inside is not going to take as much to fill up the grain because it's already been filled partially from the other side. And I can tell you I did not wipe the inside. I'm getting a lot of dirt back off of it, which really won't hurt us. It may make our paper towel do what it's doing right there and sort of start to tear it apart. Like I say, the inside will not take whichever side you do first, and I usually do the outside to inside is the way I normally do them. And as you can see, it took a whole lot less material. The problem is that I got to get the places that for some reason it ripped into that paper towel. But it's actually laying on the surface. Like I say, once one side is sealed, the other side you use about half or less of material. I'm taking off the excess. There's also some dust that should have been wiped off of there. It's coming back off right along with it. It almost feels like I sprayed a little too much accelerator around. That's normally why I don't use accelerator, is because if it sucks some of this accelerator around the corner and gets on here, it's going to make this set up as soon as it contacts it, which it did right there in that one place. It won't hurt us. It won't kill us. But this is definitely a piece that's going to sit overnight and cure, because this product has a 24-hour cure time, which means come tomorrow at this time, it's going to be totally hard, as hard as it'll ever get. But we will give this just a little bit of activator on the inside, 2 little squirts across 18 to 24 inches away. And we're done. 1 coat. And then we will come back tomorrow or another day this week, and we will buff it from there. It's just that simple to use. And maybe we'll come back next weekend and I'll show you the finished result of it or something. But until then, we're going to call that done in a matter of 10 minutes or 15 minutes.